Spencer Gallup, how are you doing, sir?
What up? What up? What up?
We are finally back. A week of hiatus that wasn't necessarily a hiatus. It was spiritual warfare, some would say. It was
Logan
a,
was out last week with a sickness.
it was a gauntlet. It was a gauntlet, and we're not going to get too personal about it, but I do want to say, when they say explosive, they really do mean explosive. Okay, they mean explosive. Wash your fruits and vegetables is all I got to say. And probably don't touch Taco Bell lettuce either. But I digress from that. We're back. We are back here at the Scoop and Score Football Show brought to you by Ball N Beatz Media. Episode 37. Episode 37.
3-7.
I'm rocking because the world of football, everyone's eyes have been on the world of football. And I have to rock the Manchester City outfit for this one. But we are a football American show, that is. And so,
Real football.
real football.
Soccer
And
is now on hiatus till the next World Cup.
oh no, it's never on hiatus. It's just that the vast majority of the United States of America will just not tune into it until 2030, which is a shame. It's a shame, and more people need to watch it. It's
Dude,
a good sport.
okay, but I don't watch soccer. I watch the World Cup.
Yeah.
And I will say this World Cup this year has been fantastic. It's been a fantastic World Cup. Really good matchups. You've had the stars showing up, with Mbappe and Messi, obviously, Harry Kane. It's been fantastic. But I gotta tell you, this sport is so annoying to the fact that every 2-3 minutes, there's somebody on the ground holding their leg. There's somebody, wincing in pain. There's somebody flopping. Like, dude, can we? It's so annoying because every time I'll look, there's somebody on the ground. Every single time.
Well, I gotta say this real quick. Wouldn't you probably also be on the ground if you took even the slightest little hit to your leg when you're running like 20 miles an hour?
It's
like,
okay. They're not all, dude. Half the game they're walking. Half the game they're just walking around the field.
And you realize they all average like 15 miles a game. It's kind of nuts.
They had the hydration break.
That's the worst thing they've done to soccer, by the way, is the hydration break.
Well, that's only for this World Cup, I would assume.
No, it's not. It's moving forward.
Oh, really? Oh,
from what I've heard.
I thought that was just for Fox to get its commercials in.
Oh no, it's actually funny because in some other nations, the hydration breaks, some of these other like stations are not going to commercial. They're still talking throughout that hydration break. They're not playing ads. Some countries, I forgot what nation it is. I think it's a nation in like Europe or Africa. They're not even playing any ads at all. They're just like communicating still over it, which I don't blame them. But the hydration break, I understand the fact when it's like really hot, but these players even complain about it. They're like, it slows the momentum down.
Are, I mean, there's indoor stadiums. I mean, there's Dallas, there's Atlanta. It's not like they're
Houston.
all. I mean, Los Angeles. LA, I mean, there's indoor stadiums, so it's not like they're. For the most part, it's AC or climate controlled. So
good thing these guys didn't get to play in Vegas. I feel like we'd have a lot of other horror stories coming out of the World Cup if they had to play in Las Vegas.
But, well, I mean, they'd be playing indoors.
They'd be playing indoors, and they do say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. So that's actually a very good point. It would be indoors, hopefully. But the World Cup has been very nice to us because we actually have some sports to watch other than baseball at this time. But here at the Scoop and Score Football Show, this is a football show, and we talk football all year round. NFL, college football. We have already previewed our G5 conferences. Today we're starting with the Power Four. We are starting with the conference that is truly coastal. The true coastal conference. We'll get into that. But I do want to dive in just a little bit to start this episode before we get into the real coastal conference. Is stuff that we don't always necessarily talk about here on this show because it's not truthfully like about football, it's about a video game. But we have to address it. We have to address it because I feel like that's been the talk of the football world right now is what beloved Electronic Arts are doing with College Football 27. A video game close to both of our hearts. We love that game. The lore of Jalen John. Like, come on, man. I might have to go back and re-download 25 just so I could dominate with UMass. Um, holds itself near and dear
Unfair.
to my heart, but EA, what are y'all doing?
Yeah, I haven't bought the game. I don't know if I will or not. I still have 26. And I play that every once in a blue moon. I'll play it. Um, but it's just EA Sports. I don't get why people are shocked at this. This is what EA Sports does. They are a cash grab company that is looking for any way to get money. They knew that Ultimate Team, nobody plays Ultimate Team in college football. And that was their only like out of getting money. And now with them having, the microtransactions and Road to Glory and Dynasty and the offline modes, this is a way for them to get more money. And it's just who EA is. You know, yeah, it sucks. It's stupid, but this is what you get. It's the company. EA has done this with Madden. They've done this with their old 2K game, or not the 2K game, old NBA live games.
Heck,
They
where it
did
really
this. I mean,
started,
they
FIFA.
did this with all types of games. With
FIFA was the biggest
NHL, I mean, they
one.
do it all sources of games.
FIFA was the biggest one, and they've completely torched that franchise of a game. No one really plays FIFA anymore. I mean, it's not even FIFA; it's EAFC. They can't. They don't even have the rights to the name of it anymore. Um, EA has just destroyed sports gaming, but so has 2K because 2K started this microtransaction thing. And just for people who are listening, who probably don't care as much because we're here to just talk ball, they've added microtransactions, as you've already stated, to modes in a game that it doesn't necessarily matter for, you know?
Yeah,
It doesn't matter for. So when you're doing Road to Glory, it's a offline mode, completely offline. You're not playing anyone else. It's completely offline. And they want extra money out of your pocket because they've slowed down progression for your player and they've slowed down progression for your coach in Dynasty deliberately, which is absurd. It's their way of getting more money.
yeah.
And I'm not here for it. I'm not here for it. And I just want to call out EA because, and I'll say
But
shout
no,
out
but you
Gordo.
shouldn't be shocked. You should
I'm
not
not
be
shocked at
shocked. This
all.
is EA Sports.
It is EA Sports, and they found their way to ruin a game that, even though, okay, I'll say this. It's kind of similar to where we are a little bit with college football, period, right now, where it doesn't feel like it used to a little bit, where it felt like a weird but amazing tradition, that it was a traditional sport and everything, and it's kind of transitioned into this game too now,
Yeah.
which is a shame. It's a shame where we are. Not just with unks out there playing college football, but we have greedy companies wanting more money from you.
All they
Why
want
would
is
why
money.
would I pay more money to get extra points to upgrade my guy right away? That's more money than what the game cost. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, I saw someone that they they played like 10 years of going undefeated and winning the national title every year, and they got to like level 48 or something like that with their coach, and the highest is 100, and that's if you pay $100.
Yep.
So that's just crazy.
It's insane. It's insane where we are right now. And I'm not the biggest gamer. I'm not gonna act like I am a gamer that much. But I always play college football. That's the one game that I've always played. It's my favorite game to play, just because I'm a college football guy at heart. That's just the one I've always loved. And it was great the fact that they finally brought it back after over a decade of no game whatsoever. But I'm not. I did buy it, and I've got it refunded because I'm just not into that anymore. Like, why would I want to drop so much more money on certain things and you slow down my progression to the point to where I would have to play a dude like 25 seasons as a coach to even get the same kind of levels you could have gotten in the past. So
Yeah.
this is for the gamers listening. It sucks. and I understand it. But just wanted to briefly cover that. And also, before we get into our Coastal Conference breakdown, because let's be honest, that's what that conference is called around here. It's just the Coastal Conference. We just need to remind you guys to please subscribe here to the YouTube channel. In the last month, it's almost the same number still. 99% of you guys are not subscribed to the YouTube channel who have
Crazy.
watched us in the last month. So please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Hit the push notification bell to stay up to date on all new videos. Follow us on our social media platforms as well at Ball N Beatz Media on Instagram, TikTok, and X. In DM Spencer about how the Detroit Lions are actually losing every game this year because for some reason, every video that comes out, they're just losing. They're just losing. That's all they do is lose, and they will continue to lose moving forward.
We're going 13-4.
The Coastal Conference has Atlantic in the front, but it's also Pacific now. And just it makes no sense. You got to love college football. The ACC, the Conference of Misfits, the conference of just a bunch of teams jumbled together that
Bunch of random teams.
a bunch of
Just to be in a Power 4 conference.
a bunch of teams that were sort of ACC schools, and then you have who Southern Methodist in Dallas, Texas, and you have Stanford and Cal Berkeley in Palo Alto
PU.
in Berkeley, California. That screams Atlantic Ocean to me. But it's also a conference that last time I checked, their conference champion last year went 8-5.
Mm-hmm.
8-5. And
They had
didn't make
another
the
team go to the
playoff.
national title game.
And did not make the playoff. But good thing they had Miami to back them up, who should have, arguably to Notre Dame fans, not made the playoff. Look what they did. They went on a run to the national championship.
Notre Dame plays nobody, so
Hey, that's not true. They play Brigham Young this season. Okay.
Yeah, this season. I meant last year. They have no reason to complain about everything. They played nobody.
I think we should have an honorary game week 1. Whoever Notre Dame's
Toledo
playing,
could have gone 10-2.
I'm trying to remember. Is the week 1 game for Notre Dame Wisconsin? I can't remember off the top of my head because I know that game is in Green Bay this year. This year,
I have no idea.
I think
it's probably. I believe it's the Wisconsin game.
I know that's the Shamrock Series game for them. That game is in Green Bay at Lambeau Field.
Ooh, Wisconsin.
They should make it the honorary Pop-Tart Bowl for the season.
So
that way we make Notre Dame play in the Pop-Tart Bowl and disrespecting one of America's finest new traditions. Notre Dame should automatically have to play that game week 1 in the Pop-Tart Bowl. That's what I say. But
Notre Dame should just join a conference and stop trying to act high and mighty.
They should not
when
even
they haven't
be
done anything since the 80s.
They shouldn't be affiliated with the ACC to begin with. But doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Nothing about Notre Dame matters because we're talking ACC football. This has to be the weakest conference, right, at the Power 4 level. At least it just feels like it right now. I think the Big 12 has probably taken that third spot from them right now.
Yeah. The ACC has a couple good teams, but a majority of it's kind of average. And then their bad is very bad.
Their bad is very bad. And speaking of that, I think we should get into the real bad. Starting at who's dead last, Spencer. I will say this. I'm pretty confident you and I are going to have a similar bottom tier here in this conference. And we're starting at the ripe number of who's finishing 17th.
From Palo Alto, the Stanford Cardinal. I think Stanford's going to be terrible this year. They have a new head coach in Tavita Pritchard, who is a former Jim Harbaugh quarterback.
Shout out him and Andrew Luck.
Yeah, it's a wild card, but the problem is that the Cardinal really didn't do. They did improve late under Frank Reich. I think they went 4-8 last year, or 5-7.
I think it was 4-8. I think you're right.
Yeah,
4-8.
But our good old buddy from Ann Arbor and Davis Warren is going to be
The
their
Buckeye
starter this year.
killer. The Buckeye
And
killer.
luckily
Yes.
Stanford does not have Ohio State on the schedule this year. But Davis Warren is a terrible quarterback when he's not playing Ohio State, and even then he was terrible against OSU. Their run game's not very good. I mean, Micah Ford is fine; he's decent, but like they average 3.9 yards a carry. That was 132nd nationally. They're replacing 4 of 6 of the defensive line, which already wasn't really that good to begin with.
Yes.
They're not good,
And the
and they're
one
not
that
gonna be good.
and I will
And
throw in the one NFL player they had, one of the better tight ends in the draft class this year, some would say, Sam Roosh, is gone. So they've got a lot to fix for sure.
yeah, it's gonna be bad there in Palo Alto this year. So like 2-10, they're gonna be rough.
17 for me is it's a different school, but I would assume this team's probably 16th or 15th for you. It's Boston College for me. Bill O'Brien better start looking
Should have
for
stayed as the OC at OSU, buddy.
he better start looking for an NFL coordinator position by like week 2, or already have one in mind before the season starts.
You probably
You
won't.
have Dylan Lonergan gone, which honestly doesn't really matter because they went 1-11 last season. So you can only get better, right? You can only get better, but you have quarterback Grayson Wilson coming from Arkansas. You have Mason McKenzie coming from D2 Saginaw Valley State, who I feel like probably wouldn't shock me if he's actually going to be the quarterback for this team. He has more experience than Grayson Wilson does. They have some transfer players as well coming in. Evan Dickens, running back from Liberty. He's a solid player. Reed Swanson from Colgate is a decent wide receiver. But other than that, the only real returning player that stands out to me is tight end Kalen Chudzinski, partially because of his last name and Rob Chudzinski from Cleveland. Uh, Toledo, Ohio native. Let's go. We like our one and done coaches in Cleveland. But there's just nothing up there at Boston College that seems any kind of hope. And that's the only reason why I don't have Stanford at 17 is because there seems to be a glimmer of hope in that program. Boston College is so bleak. It is so bleak up there in Chestnut Hill. There's just no way. Matt Ryan himself could literally become the general manager and coach and owner and whatever else up there, and they
They
would do
need
absolutely nothing.
they need Zay Flowers back.
They need
Uh,
Zay Flowers back. They need Matt Ryan back. I think Matt Ryan, if he was their quarterback right now at the ripe age of 75 or whatever he is, I'm just kidding. Obviously not. But he would do wonders for the Eagles up there. Number
um,
16.
Boston College, yeah. The only reason I have them one above is because Bill O'Brien and Stanford is a first year head coach that I know nothing about. I know Bill O'Brien, at least in the past, has built programs. Do I think he's going to build this one? No.
I think he's going to tear it to the
But
ground,
I gotta,
actually. That's
I gotta I'll give him one spot just for being Bill O'Brien
that's fair.
because like he's been. I mean, he was 2-10 last year. They got. Can we get to 3? Can we get some? Can we get an improvement? Can we get to 3-9?
That's
Let's
fair.
start slow. Let's
That
get
is
to
fair,
three and
man.
nine. But
16,
yeah,
16 for me, the Stanford Cardinal.
yep.
Um, Now I will say this: I actually think the Tavita Pritchard hire is going to be a good one. He's a very young dude, former quarterback. I'm pretty certain he was the backup quarterback at Stanford behind Andrew Luck, if I'm not mistaken. Don't fully quote me on that, but that sounds correct. But he also was a quarterback for Jim Harbaugh too, which I think also adds up there. Um, Hear me out. I think Davis Warren in the ACC is actually pretty okay, right? You know what I mean? Like, it's not great, but there could be a lot worse, I feel like, for Stanford. And there's one person I really want to circle. Wide receiver transfer from Yale, Nico Brown. He led the country. He led the country in yards per game all across college football, period, last season. For yards per game. He was 1,100-yard receiver. He had 11 touchdowns. First team All Ivy League. Ivy League Offensive Player of the Year. He is going to be a weapon at Stanford. watch out for Nico Brown. But other than that, I'm sorry, Stanford. But I do believe with Andrew Luck and his presence there, it's going to take some time because Stanford is it's a whole different animal out there in Stanford because in this new age of athletics and college athletics, Stanford is still Stanford. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Academically, it's a different animal. Probably harder than Notre Dame, obviously. Harder. It's the Harvard of the FBS, and they take their academics seriously, and that's also why Cal had their issues for a long time, still too. We'll talk about Cal a little bit later, but it's hard out there for Stanford in the new wave of college football and college athletics to really truthfully be successful. And I think Andrew Luck, given time, given years, and Tavita Pritchard as well, given time to really develop something, I think Stanford has the potential in like 4 or 5 years to maybe get back to respectability again.
Mhm. All right. At number 15, I have the Bill Belichick led North Carolina Tar Heels.
You mean Jordan Hudson led? I think you mean
Yeah,
Jordan Hudson led.
yeah. Basically, the 33rd NFL team. They Bill Belichick is an absolute
Sorry.
disaster. Um, it should not be a college coach. He's not built for it. Just needs to get out.
I see what
Um,
you did there, not
I
built
don't
for it.
think they have a bad roster because they have pieces. They
They
brought in a
have
couple.
they have a
They brought in
future
a
Hall of
couple.
Famer quarterback in Billy Edwards Jr. Sorry to cut you
y-
off.
Billy Edwards Jr. sucks, but their defense is pretty decent. They had a Melkar Abu Joad, however you say that dude's name. He had 10.5 sacks last year, and he returns. They had Leroy Jackson and Isaiah Johnson return. Their defense was really bend don't break, and it was kind of a bright spot for a really bad year last year, especially on their offensive side of the ball. But dude, like Bobby Petrino is gonna be running your offense.
Bobby
Um,
Petrino.
they
You know what? Hear me
they
out.
have general manager Michael Lombardi. They're just bringing in old
So
dudes
nuts.
to come to
It's
Chapel
it's
Hill, and I just
insane.
think it's going to be an absolute disaster.
And we get
They're
to watch them in week 0 in Dublin, Ireland. Nothing better.
Yeah,
Nothing
no,
better.
it's gonna be they're gonna be an absolute disaster. Well, I think their defense might be decent. Um, if they're like a solid unit like they were last year. They weren't great by any means, but they were
They were
average.
serviceable for sure.
They made plays when they needed to. They stopped teams in the red zone, but they weren't good by any means. And the offense was horrific. And Billy Edwards Jr., the guy from Maryland, and I guess
Wisconsin.
Wisconsin too, Maryland and
It didn't
Wisconsin.
help that he got
Um,
injured very early in Wisconsin
no,
because he actually looked sort of
but
decent in
how
the one
he's a
half of a
veteran.
quarter he had.
Yeah, he's older and he's gonna be under the Bill Belichick quarterback development program. So yeah, North Carolina's gonna suck next
Jimmy
year.
Garoppolo
Give
and
me
Jared
the
Stidham would be proud.
give me the heels at number 15.
Number 15 for me. This one's hard because I see a world where this school does much better than I'm predicting them to be next year. It's just kind of hard because I feel like there's been a lot of distractions, specifically around the head coach and a little bit of the off the field stuff here. Um, it is Syracuse. Syracuse for me at number 15. The quarterback question, hopefully Steve Angeli, he can come back from an injury, but if it's not him, they
Brought in
also
Amari
brought
Odom.
in Amari Odom from Kennesaw State, and they brought in the greatest five-star quarterback of all time in Malachi Nelson. So they have
UTEP
quarterback
legend.
depth. A UTEP minor legend, Boise State legend, USC legend.
Yeah.
Malachi Nelson was supposed to be the Caleb Williams replacement. We saw how that obviously never happened. Um, but they have a bright spot, and it's close to home for us. Vince Karras, their new defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
I don't know how it'll be in year
And Brian
one.
Blair. Brian Blair's the
And
AD there
Brian
now.
Blair. That's true. A lot of Toledo to Syracuse this offseason.
Ooh, yikes.
How will it be in year one? I don't know. but I do expect Syracuse to be better moving forward. And to be fair, I like Fran Brown. I think Fran Brown is a pretty decent coach, but when you have Tusi as a wide receiver on your roster for like 2 weeks before he goes to LSU and is no longer on their program either, that's kind of antics, right? Like I don't like that. I don't like that. Like no one needs a 27-year-old R&B hip hop artist on their football roster. That's just me. Actually, I don't think he was ever on Syracuse's roster. He was on LSU's roster, but he like committed to Syracuse and whatnot, and then it just faded away. I don't really know. I don't really know. But if their quarterback play isn't good, then it's just all going to fall apart. We saw what happened last year. They were 3-1 to start the year. In the middle of playing Clemson, and Steve Angeli's leg gets destroyed, and they didn't win it. Didn't win the rest of the year. It's
At number
unfortunate.
Yeah. At number 14, I have Syracuse. Don't really need to say much. You kind of said the whole thing there. Toledo's defense last year, the last month of the season was unbelievable. They wouldn't let anybody score. And I hope Vince does a good job there in Syracuse, but their roster sucks. So
Real bad.
not very good. So number 14 there for the Orange out of New York.
14 for me is the Chapel Bill led North Carolina Tar Heels. Nothing screams North Carolina football like having your new opening ceremony when the team comes out the tunnel. You know how Oregon has the duck on a motorcycle?
Yeah.
They need Bobby Petrino on the motorcycle. That should be the way they come out from the locker room every game. If you know, you know. Hopefully he doesn't have a neck brace on this time. But there are some fun things for this team. Running back Devon June is back. Jordan Ship is back. They have some fun transfer portal guys. And I will say there's one player who is a commit coming in as a true freshman this year from Detroit Cast Tech and CJ Sadler, 4-star player. I think he could be potentially impactful really early on in his career. He was one of the more fun players I've seen in high school football, period, around this neck of the woods where we are. But other than that, the antics around North Carolina, you can't trust it. You just can't. And anyone out there who says, I do have family ties to North Carolina, okay? I've heard some very delusional folks about Bill Belichick in North Carolina. This was crazy to me. Someone told me last year that he would bet me like $1,000 that they would win a title in 3 years. I was like, what are you talking about? That's not ball knowledge. That's just not ball knowledge. It's just not. It's just not. And Bill Belichick is probably not going to be their coach by like 2028. I would say at the latest. I just don't see this working. I just don't.
All right. At number 13, I have the California Golden Bears.
What?
The California Golden Bears,
What?
led by first-year coach Tosh Lapoy. Listen, Cal, I think is going to be exciting from year to come, and their biggest thing was keeping Segapolutele. Did I say that
Good
right?
work. Good work. That was
Did
pretty
I?
decent.
Let's go. Was it?
Jaron Kiave Sagapulitele. Yes.
Okay. All right. Not
JKS.
JKS. That was his biggest thing was keeping him. And I do like what Tosh Lapoy will do in this program. It's just first year. It's a first year at Cal, and I think that there's going to be some growing pains because no coach is perfect. I think their defense is going to be decent because he is bringing in a lot of former blue chipper guys like Jericho Johnson from Oregon.
Yep.
He's bringing in Solomon Williams from A&M. He's bringing Kamar Mathudi from Oregon, if you say that right,
I know
Emmanuel
who you're talking about. I
Okoye,
forget how to say it.
um,
Yeah, it's a
and
wild one.
Kingston Lopa from Oregon. He's bringing a good amount of former blue chippers. He's got some veteran tackles in there, like Jaden Williams from North Texas, Justin Beatles from Louisville. My big thing is going to be their offense with JKS, how they build around him. Because I don't have to worry too much about him. It's what they build around him. And this
Oh,
was tough because I think the middle of the pack of the ACC, a lot of these teams, there's some with upside and there's some that I think can make a jump. Like I could see a world where Cal is in like the top 7 in the ACC. I could see them making that jump first year. I just need to see it. Um, it's gonna be tough because Cal has just been such a 500 program.
literally, they are the
Here's
definition
something
of
that's in.
500.
So they went 13 and 13 these last 2 seasons. They're 62 and 68 over the past 11 years, and they're 149 and 143 over the past 24. So they're basically a 500 program.
They're the most
And
Washington football team in college football.
they're yes, and they have there's upside to this team. The fact that they kept JKS was massive.
Yes.
Um, but I need to see it from this program. I need to see if it can happen year one. It's going to be tough, but I do think there's a world where they can be better. But I do think that this team will make a bowl game. I think year one, Tosh Lapoy, well, if not get close to 6-6, get to 6-6.
I think I'm not going to kind of say where it's at, but I think this might be the biggest discrepancy between you and I so far out of any conference with a team. I will talk about Cal's offense when we get to it for me, but number 13 for me is Florida State. I can't see a world where I mean we know Mike Norvell's halfway out the door, like not even halfway. He's like 99% out the door, and I mean he hit the portal again. He didn't hit the portal as hard as he normally does though to bring people in. He did bring in Ashton Daniels from Auburn, who was the backup last season there and had decent playtime and showed a little bit of what he can do. You bought in Quintravian Wisner, the running back from Texas, but there's a reason why he left Texas. And you bring in another kid who's Desario Riles from ECU. He's a decent player as well. But I really have questions about that offensive line this season. And really, I feel like this team is basically Deuce Robinson and vibes. That's what I get. You have Deuce Robinson still, but other than that, I just don't see much direction for this program right now, and I just cannot project them in the top 10. I can't do it. And I'm much higher on some other programs, and I think we're going to get more of the same this season from Florida State.
Yeah, I got FSU at 12. They're a disaster with Mike Norvell. I'm surprised he honestly still has a job. I know they went 13 and 0 a couple years ago and they got robbed out of, making it with the Jordan Travis injury. But they're just I mean, they have not they have some pieces, but the problem is that I cannot trust Mike Norvell. I cannot trust the guy at the helm. Um and with Tony White, the defensive coordinator, I mean, it's I don't know, man. I just like they did get some transfers though. Like they got Nate Pobbs from Bolt BG, the all MAC tackle.
Yep, they did.
They got Xavier Chaplin from Auburn. Um, they got some good offensive pieces, and especially on the offensive line.
They
Um,
needed that. They
and
needed
they
that.
did, yeah. Their
That is
offensive
a
line was
question though.
really bad, but I just think they have way too many question marks, and it's a team that I think has too many holes, especially with how much is going on at the top. So yeah, give me Florida State at 12.
12 for me is the reigning and defending ACC champs. It is the Duke Blue Devils. And the reason why I'm this low on them is because what you lose this offseason. You lose your best weapon. You lose arguably one of the best quarterbacks in college football. You lose some of your best secondary players off to the NFL and the transfer portal. They lost their top 4 weapons offensively to the transfer portal and graduation. But Manny Diaz is still probably going to put out a respectable team. So I can't drop them too far down all the way to the back half of this. I still see them as a middle of the pack, maybe a little bit on the back end of this conference this year and still probably fighting for like 5-7, 6-6 in a bowl game. You have Walker Eget, San Jose State Spartan legend, starting quarterback, coming in
Threw for over
replacing Darian
3,000
Mensa.
yards last year
He did throw for over 3,000 yards last
on
year
a torn ACL.
on a torn ACL. He's not Darian Mensa.
Well, I don't think that's very fair.
He's not Darian Mensa. Come on.
I don't think that's fair.
He's not
Not a
Darian
lot
Mensa.
of people are.
He's not Darian Mensa. And you know how bullish I am on Darian Mensa anyway. But they did, the one positive, they brought back running back Nate Shepard. He's a dog.
He is.
They have, so transfer portal guys, they have Jared Richardson coming in from Charlotte, and they have Javen Nicholas coming in. He's coming in from Charlotte. Jared Richardson's coming in from Penn. Excuse me there. But the defense will be solid under Manny Diaz. It always is. But I just question this offense a lot.
Okay. All right. At number
What's
11,
happening here? No, I'm just kidding.
at number 11, I have the Demon Deacons from Wake Forest.
Okay.
Honestly, Jake is it Dickert? Is
Yes.
that how you say it? Jake Dickert. For his first year, he went 9-4. They were projected to be pretty bad.
They were projected,
and,
I think, dead last. Dead last in the conference.
Overperformed. They do have some nice players like Langston Hardy and Gabe Kirsch who are coming back. They combined for 23 tackles for loss and 12 sacks. They have one of the best nickelbacks in the league in Junior Devon Patterson.
Yep.
They have a good amount of guys returning, but their offense is completely restarting.
Which is a good thing,
besides Carlos
necessarily.
Hernandez. Their offense wasn't all that great, but they have Gio Lopez.
Robbie Ashford and Deshaun Purdy and Gio Lopez. That's literally peanut butter and jelly. So we will see what happens there, right?
Yeah, he was not good at North Carolina, but he was good at South Alabama.
If we could get South Alabama Gio Lopez at Wake Forest, they might make the playoff. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say, folks.
Their offensive line was probably their best part of their offense last year, and they lost 4 starters, which isn't great, but they got some transfers in. I think their defense is what's going to drive this team because they are returning a good amount.
Yes.
But their offense to me, I don't really trust Gio Lopez, man. So Wake Forest at 11.
Number 11 for me might be a bit of a stretch, I can admit. I can admit that this might be a bit of a stretch because this program seems to always be consistent, always be fighting at least in this conference, and usually in that top 5 to top 8 range almost consistently, sometimes higher than that. I'm not fully sold on the roster itself as much this year. I like the quarterback situation and I like the coaching staff and everything. I just think certain losses they had on this roster could really hurt them this year, specifically. Number 11 for me is Pitt. I like Mason Heinchel. I like Pat Narduzzi, but they lost a lot of talent. But they are bringing back the positive is their trenches have very good experience on both sides of the ball. You lose Rasheem Biles, one of the better linebackers in college football. He's going to Texas. You lose your starting running back in Desmond Reed. But to be honest, the backup running back was better than him last year in Jakarian Turner. So he's returned. But I feel like I expect a down year this year for this franchise. I say franchise for this school. I just do. Now, like I said, I would not be shocked if they still finish much higher than this. I'm just not as confident in them this year. And who knows? We will see. Spencer's like
the hatred for the Pitt Panthers.
maybe it's because we were there, just a couple months ago, and in a city that happens to have the Pittsburgh Steelers in it, but they play in the same stadium. I don't know. Maybe it has to do with that a little bit. But I digress.
At number 10, I have the NC State Wolfpack. Dave Doran's their coach. 14 years. That's actually crazy that he's been there for that long.
And
And
I
he's
know
actually
some
been
fans
pretty
just want him
consistent.
gone. Some fans are like, it's kind of staled out down there a little bit.
They started out 4-4 and they had an 8-5 finish. And CJ Bailey, the quarterback, probably the best returning quarterback in the
If you
returning in the conference, but the problem is Darian Mensah technically didn't leave the conference.
yeah,
So
he didn't leave the conference, but
the same player who's going back to the team. My biggest question mark with NC State,
everything else.
yeah, I was gonna say their offense has to be completely rebuilt.
Yeah.
With their the running back, top 4 pass catchers, and 3 starting linemen leaving. Their sophomore running back Jaden Scott is decent. He's
He's
solid
not
after
Hollywood
contact.
Smothers though.
He is not Hollywood Smothers. But the one thing I will say is that NC State always seems to have a decent defense, a decent to above average defense.
Yes.
And I can trust that. And with the whole thing of NC State losing their entire offense besides Bailey, I don't know, man. I think that they're gonna be like a 6. They're the same team every year. They're 6-6, 7-5. I think that they'll make a bowl game probably at 6-6, and I think that they'll be 10th in the conference. So.
Number 10 for me is the Demon Deacons of Wake Forest. I really love what happened there. They were probably the least talked about. If you wanted to put together like a Mount Rushmore of least talked about teams that were very good last year, Wake Forest was probably number 1 or 2 on that Mount Rushmore list. They were so good for no reason, specifically on the defensive side of the ball. One of the better defensive units in all of college football. Obviously, the offense wasn't great. However, I was a Damon Claiborne stan. He's gone to the NFL. But they have a transfer kid from North Dakota, Sawyer Seidel, who's going to take that spot over from Damon Claiborne. They have other running backs still, too. But this is the guy I'm really circling to make a big impact for this team this year. And you already talked about it a little bit. Gio Lopez. What are we going to get from Gio Lopez? Who knows? If we get South Alabama Gio Lopez, they might finish him a lot higher
Good.
yet again. They might overperform. Maybe Wake Forest is this team in the conference that you just kind of shoe in as a back half team in this conference, and you look up and you're like, how did they finish 4th? How'd they finish 5th? And it's going to be consistent. Maybe that's what happens with Jake Dickert. Maybe they become the new Virginia Tech of the 90s and early 2000s where their defense just carries them to like 9-3 regular seasons. Maybe that's what we're in for in Winston-Salem.
All right, at number 9, I have the defending ACC champions, the Duke Blue Devils. Kind of gonna just go off what you said. Duke lost a lot. Obviously, they're returning Nate Shepard, who had 1,100 yards as a freshman as a running back. That's phenomenal. They got C.J. Campbell from Rutgers and Willem Dahl from Yale. I think their line could be good, but they just lost a lot. I mean, with losing Darian Mensah, that's going to be tough to replace. And Duke is always like an average team. I think they caught fire last year with their quarterback play. Diaz didn't load up on transfers on the front 7. He's kind of just going with his guys that he already had. Preston Watson, the junior tackle, is going to have to play a big role. Bryce Davis, the sophomore end, is going to have to play a big role. They got Luke Mergott coming back. But it's going to be tough for Duke to report or to come back for what they did last year, especially with how they had Mensa and their offense that they had last year. I just don't see it happening again. But I think that they're going to be a solid team. So
that's fair. That is fair. Got to pause here for a quick water break. That was good. Number 9 for me. It is the program that has really held this conference afloat for a long time. It is the pride of Clemson, South Carolina. I have Clemson 9th.
Yo, wow.
And
Okay.
here's why, right?
Okay, all right.
Could this be me overreacting because I thought they were going to be one of the best teams in college football last season and they just crapped the bed? Possibly. But what has Dabo done the last 4 years, 5 years to really give you the benefit of the doubt? Yes, he did make the college football playoff in the first expanded playoff and was the 12th seed. But what has he done to really say, yes, this team is going to obviously be much better than they were last year? Now, I will say this. I like their wide receiver play. TJ Moore to me is a top 10 wide receiver in college football. I think Bryant Wesco Jr. is also a very, very good wide receiver. You still have Will Helt, who returned, the other edge rusher, opposite of TJ Parker, who's now off to the NFL, and you lose Peter Woods. But Will Helt is one of the better edge rushers potentially in college football.
17 and a half tackles for loss last year.
The talent is real. And he finally hit the transfer portal. How good are they really going to be, though? Let's see what happens with Christopher Vazina finally getting the reins to this roster. He's finally getting his chance to be the starting quarterback. It's more of an undersale, buy low, and stock can go high for Clemson. Because I know it's Clemson, but this has been their realistic range. Let's be honest here. This is more of a realistic range of what we've seen from them.
Okay, that was based off of 1 year where they
Was it?
underperformed.
Well, they've underperformed.
They made the playoffs and won the ACC 2 years ago.
2 years ago, but then look at the 2 years prior. They still underperformed.
Yes, but they were in the running. They were in the top 25. Like they were always fighting for those spots. So they have a few games. Last year was bad. Last year was bad. They had all these expectations and they just didn't make any of them. But like I think that's a little bit of an overreaction. Actually, that's a massive overreaction.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens when Clemson has the exact same record this year at 7-5 or 6-6, and they play in the New Era Pinstripe Bowl for the second year in a row, or Fenway, against like Michigan State for some reason, because Michigan State I went out and said would make a bowl game already, and I got to stick to it, right?
At number 8, I have my team from last year that I was high on at the beginning of the year, and they did pretty good for a while, and they kind of fell flat. The Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. The Haynes King generation is now over. The era of Haynes King playing 1920s football the way it's supposed to be and playing for Georgia Tech, which makes a lot of sense, is over. They're returning 10 of 21 on defense. It's pretty good. But my biggest concern is they lost star tackle Jordan Vandenberg and 5 of their top 6 defensive backs. Yes. He also had to Brent Key also had to replace both his coordinators on offense and defense as Buster Faulkner left for Florida and Blake Gideon left for Texas. I think Georgia Tech had a favorable schedule last year, and I think that's another thing that went to the fact. They didn't play the upper echelon teams of the ACC, and they kind of, were mediocre, barely beating average to below average ACC teams. I think Brent Key is a very good coach, but I think they're due for a little bit of a fall off from last year. That's not to say that I think that they're going to be a bad team by chance, because I think they'll be good, and I think that they'll make a bowl game. I just don't think they're going to be nearly as good as last year, or they were I think they got as high as 7th in the nation.
At one point, 7th, 8th. Yeah, it was wild.
Something like that.
They were pushing top 5. It was nuts.
Yeah. But and nobody ever kind of really thought. I thought it was a cute story because I felt Georgia Tech had a favorable schedule. I liked Haynes King, I liked Brent Key, and I liked the way they played. I love this style of offense. I think it's so dumb, but it works. That's the funny thing.
For the casual football fan, they would absolutely despise it, but for the football lover.
And I do think there's something like they brought in a couple transfers. They got Justin Haynes from Michigan, and he was pretty good. Hey, they got the other Mendoza brother, and Alberto. Maybe he can be a little bit like his brother. Probably not. But I think Georgia Tech will be an average team this year. Maybe a little bit below above average at like 7-5 because I think Brent Key's a good coach. I just don't think they're gonna sniff anywhere near where
Just
they got
remember,
last year.
Spencer, when you say 7-5 in this conference, that means you're good enough to play for your conference championship. So that might
Yeah,
be
pretty
second
much.
best. They might be
You
second
know
best.
what? Georgia Tech's winning it at 7-5. I don't care.
Just gotta say that. So basically, anyone from like 9-2, they're all the same. It's all 7-5 teams.
Yep.
They just beat up each other. That's all it is. Number 8 for me is the Wolfpack of NC State. I'm a little bit higher on them than you, simply because of CJ Bailey and Dave Doran. Yeah, they did lose a lot. They lost a lot of talent, like you said. The offense is pretty much brand new for the most part. There's some fun ones though. I like Victor Snow from Buffalo. He was a very good MAC wide receiver. JoJo Trader was a former 4 borderline 5-star wide receiver from Miami. Never really got on the football field there. He's transferring into NC State. They have a nice wide receiver coming in from App State and Davion Dozier as well, who I think will be pretty impactful. But CJ Bailey's the big reason for me having them up here this high is because he is one of the best quarterbacks in the country. When I do release my top 10 rankings, he will sadly be the first one outside of my top 10. But he is a fun quarterback to watch, and he's massive. He's a basketball player. He's 6'6", 225. I forget his weight, but he is long. He looks like a small forward, power forward at quarterback. He is one of the more fun quarterbacks to watch. And simply him being there gives them a boost because without CJ Bailey, they're probably a bottom 5 team in the conference this year. He's looking up CJ Bailey's measurables.
No, I'm just sure. We'll go with that.
What? I don't know. What were you looking up
I
then,
was.
Spence?
I was just saying. You said this is a massive guy, and I've
He
seen
is
him
a
play, but I
massive
didn't
guy.
know this dude was just an absolute tank.
Oh, he
Uh,
is a tank. He is. He's six
um,
six. I forget. It's 6'6". I forget his weight though. I don't remember the weight.
I'll take your word for it. All right. At number 7, I have a team that I'm a little bit higher on than you, and that is the Pitt Panthers.
It's not
Um,
Clemson. Come on now, Clemson shouldn't. There's no way Clemson should be top 5, right? No, just kidding.
I think you're giving a little bit too much hatred to Clemson, but Mason Heinzel, the
Possible.
pride of Clay High School in Oregon, Ohio, had a really good year last year, and my mom actually knows his parents, so I kind of have to.
They
I
should be
feel like
top 3 then, right?
I feel like I should give him a little leeway in Pat Narduzzi. Um, my my mom like his friends with his parents.
That's top tier.
So yeah. Anyway, Pat Narduzzi, honestly, he's a weird dude. He's a quirky guy.
Very.
But Pitt always is always a good team. They're not like fantastic. They're never a fantastic team. They're not like an elite team by any means, but they are always above average in the ACC. Narduzzi's 80-61 at Pitt. And it's kind of hard, when they play in an NFL stadium. I don't think like the atmosphere is all what it could be. Um, I never liked college teams playing in NFL stadiums. I
Me
just
neither.
don't. I don't think it's right. But anyway, that's besides the point. I like Mason Heinzel a lot. I think this dude's going to be a star. Am I a little biased because a little bit of ties? Yeah, but
Absolutely.
can we get somebody? Can we get a quarterback from Northwest Ohio who actually performs in the NFL and not Deshaun Kaiser?
Don't
Um,
disrespect Deshaun Kaiser like that. You're valid though. You made a very good point there.
can we
Um,
just get a quarterback who can finally do something? Last year's defense for Pat Narduzzi was probably his best. I mean, that defense was phenomenal last year.
the
They
linebacker
did
duo
lose. Mhm.
of
And
Kyle Lewis and Rasheem Biles. You have Kyle Lewis to the NFL. I know his measurables weren't great, but man, he was so good. He is going to be a very, very good pro. He was a top 50 prospect for me. Rasheem Biles
yeah,
is now at Texas. I'm sorry to cut you off, but those two together were disgusting.
they have a lot of young safeties and they have a lot of players who are going to step up. I mean, they're returning Isaiah Neal and Jimmy Scott, Nick James, Braylon Lovelace. They have a decent pass rush, and yes, they did lose Rasheem Biles. But I do think that I have trust in Pat Narduzzi. I think this offense is going to be decent with Jakarian Turner, Lavelle Wright from Western Kentucky coming in. They added an all-Mac guard and Keelan Davis from Akron. I have trust in him. So I'm going to go with Pitt at 7.
7 for me is your runner-ups from last year. The Virginia Cavaliers, Tony Elliott. He's doing his thing. He is doing his thing down there in Charlottesville. Transfer portal guru, some would say. Will it pan out again this offseason? They hit the portal a lot for their rosters. You had Chandler Morris ball out last season for Virginia at quarterback. This year, you have Bo Pribula from Missouri by the way of Penn State. You have Eli Holstein, just talking about Pitt, from Pitt by the way of Alabama before them. You have running backs Jakail Middlebrook from Middle Tennessee in, and Solomon Beebe from UAB transferring in. Wide receiver Rico Flores Jr., dude from UCLA, who I really like a lot. Deshaun Martin coming in from Kent State as well. And you have 10 defensive players back from this team who started last season at some point. I like Virginia a lot. I think, yeah, they could be higher, but I think some teams are just going to take steps forward. So I have to dock Virginia a little bit because I do think some of these other programs ahead of them in my top 5 are just going to take bigger jumps this year. But Virginia is a program that wouldn't shock me if they are back in the top 4, top 5 of this conference.
Man, you are really trusting Tosh Latoy in the Cal Golden Bears this year 1. All right.
We still got some wiggle room here,
At
brother.
number 6, I have Virginia as well. I don't really got to say much. Tony Elliott's done a great job there at Virginia, which has been historically a basketball college, and winning at a program that has not really won a whole lot.
Yes.
There in Charlottesville. So yeah, I have Virginia at 6. Don't really got to say much more than
The
what you said.
pride
So.
of who's Virginia's best football player of all time? Like the only player that ever comes to my mind, I think, is Bryce Hopkins, quarterback, right? When
Yeah,
they
the
played
old
in the Orange
quarterback.
Bowl, they made the Orange Bowl that year against Florida and Kyle Trask. Shout out Bryce Hopkins.
Well, while you're talking, I'm going to look up their best player.
Yeah, we need to know who the best Virginia football player of all time. You know, there's one
Bill Dudley.
Bill Dudley.
He played for the Cavaliers from 1939 to 1941. He's the only Virginia player ever to be elected to the College Football Hall of Fame and the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
That's tough. That's tough.
He led the team to an 8-1 record. He scored 206 of the team's 279 total points.
He literally is the team. He was the team.
He did this by running, passing, kicking, and playing defense. This dude was a literal
the team.
Did everything. I mean, to be fair, they all did this.
Oh yeah, back then.
Chris Long. I forgot about Chris Long.
That's right.
Rondé Barber.
Look at that. Virginia is literally pumping out. They're an NFL.
Keith Miller.
They are an NFL unit. That's what they are.
Oh my god, I forgot Rondé Barber went to Virginia.
I forgot Chris Long. I'm mad I forgot about Chris Long.
Yeah.
Went second overall.
That's sad. That's actually that's bad on us.
That is real bad. Sorry, Virginia. It looks like we're not making it.
The people of Charlottesville.
We're not making it there anytime soon. Lack of ball knowledge there. Number 6 for
Shout out Bill Dudley.
Shout out Bill Dudley. Number 6 for me is a program that you literally, I think, will get tattooed on you at some point with your love and affinity for this place. And to be honest, I'm putting them this high because I think their head coach has earned the benefit of the doubt. It's Georgia Tech for me at number 6. Brent Key
a little bit more in there.
Could have gone to other places.
Bro, Cal top 5 is crazy.
Brent Key could have gone.
Top 5 is absolutely insane.
Brent Key could have gone anywhere, right? But he chose to stay back at his alma mater. He has Alberto Mendoza coming in. He has Justice Haynes coming in. You kind of talked a little bit about Georgia Tech. And I think the vibes in Atlanta and around this program are pretty high. Now, I will say this year could be a down year. They could finish lower than this. You have them at 8. I have them at 6. I could see them potentially finishing around 10. It wouldn't shock me. But I think there's a lot of things to like moving forward with Brent Key in Atlanta at Georgia Tech. So I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt heading into this year at number 6.
At number 5, I have the Clemson Tigers.
You
Um,
just had to put them in the top 5.
just
That's all you had to
barely
do.
top 5. Um,
Mm-mm-mm.
it's a thing that is Dabo Sweeney on the hot seat. I don't know. I personally,
His seat will.
I don't think Clemson would fire Dabo Sweeney literally unless he went 0-12.
They would mutually agree to part ways. That's
Dabo
it.
has been in this program for 18 years. Like, he's been Clemson. He has built Clemson. We've seen this.
Yeah.
He's had good rosters. He recruits well. And this is what I'm going based off of. Clemson recruits well under Dabo Sweeney, and
They
they
do.
are finally attacking the transfer portal. As you know, they had to, because they had a wide receiver as a running back last year, who got drafted, by the
So
way.
insane. That was so like, wow. It just goes to show how bad.
What was
Like,
his name? What was his name?
oh man, I can't remember. Oh,
I
I'm gonna have
can't
to look.
remember,
I'm
but
gonna look this up.
um
He,
they
their
have
running
Gideon
game was
Davis. They got SMU transferred Chris Johnson Jr.
running
Obviously we
game
talked
was
about Bryant Wesco Jr., TJ Moore. Um, it's they got 5 of at least
I
9
remember.
linemen coming back. I have faith that Clemson, with their talent that they recruit with Dabo Sweeney, is a top 5 in the ACC. I just don't think that they're going to have. They had a bad year last year, yes. I just don't think they're going to have like an unbelievable fall off. At least not yet.
Just remember, Spencer, we are talking about the ACC. All of these teams are probably 7-5 together. So just because
Yeah.
I said ninth doesn't, to me, ninth equals like second in this conference too, because you never know. You never know. But the name you were looking for, Adam Randall.
Yeah, and didn't he get drafted?
He did. He got drafted, I think, in like the
Crazy. He
fifth
was
round,
bad.
sixth round. Yeah, he was. No, their running game last year was absolutely atrocious.
Yeah,
And
I
and
don't know
Cade
how he got drafted.
Cade Klubnik somehow was a New York Jet. Maybe he should be the starting quarterback with everything going on with Geno Smith. We haven't talked about that at all recently. That's okay. But yeah, Clemson,
I have
man.
faith in Clemson with their recruiting trail. Dabo is always in a really good. I think they needed a reset. I think he's going to take his team from last year, realize it was not the standards of Clemson, and they're going to come back and they're going to be one of the better teams of the ACC. So I have Clemson at 5.
Number 5 for me. Spencer's already upset about one team. Is it this team here though at number 5? It's not. It's Virginia Tech. James
Oh my
Franklin.
God.
James Franklin will succeed right away. In my opinion, I think Virginia Tech is going to succeed right away in year 1 because of how open this conference is. You have Ethan Grunkemeyer coming in to be starting quarterback. What's funny? What's funny, Spencer? What is
I know they
funny?
smoke a lot of weed in California.
I I
I
I
think that's I think that you
I
have
don't.
smoked. You have
I do
greened
not.
out.
I do not do. I don't do that. And by the way, I don't condone anyone who does that. Don't do drugs, kids. Don't do drugs. But he's
Yeah.
just mad about Cal. The Cal's still here. Who knows? Who knows?
Talk
Virginia
about
Tech.
Virginia Tech.
Virginia Tech here. Ethan Grunkemeyer starting quarterback probably this season. He brought as well tight end Luke Reynolds from Penn State and also the offensive coordinator from Ty Howell. But hey, the good news, folks, your head coach from last season is still on the coaching staff because why not have Brent Pry be your defensive coordinator? Um, that's insane to me. That might be one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Is a head coach got fired, and yet he loved that place so much, he still stayed, and he's there as their defensive coordinator. And Brent Pry is one of the biggest reasons why James Franklin is now at Virginia Tech because he helped sell Virginia Tech to James Franklin because he was a part of his coaching staff in the past at Penn State. Now, I think the defense has a lot of potential. I do think it could take a year for this defense to really be good. And honestly, just as a program, it could be a year away. It really could. But in a conference like the ACC, where there isn't really a true, I mean, you might have Miami now, who's really become what Clemson used to be. It feels like anyway. When you don't have teams who are very consistent, I think Virginia Tech can come in right away and compete with James Franklin. We're talking about James Franklin, and I know he always wins the games he should and lose the games, or he always wins the games he should
Well,
and
now he's
loses
in
the
the
games he should.
ACC.
That's
They're
what I'm
all
saying.
like average games for the most.
Exactly.
So he doesn't have a big game unless it's, I guess, Miami.
Miami. Yeah.
This is about it.
And Virginia Tech, I mean, when we were younger, Virginia Tech was one of the more consistent programs in the conference. They were a top 3 ACC team year in and year out. So, and I know the fans down there in Blacksburg, they're fiending for a winner. They got a winner. They just don't have a winner, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, number 4 at Virginia Tech. Kind of the same thing you said, basically the same thing you said. I think James Franklin's, I think he's a good coach. I just think that you're not going to win a national championship with him. This is just the coach he is. He will keep you relevant. I will say he had times where he had plays go against him that could have, a couple years ago when, one of the worst quarterbacks that I ever watched that I've been sold as really good, Drew Aller, threw that ball over the middle, rolling out to his left, and was one of the worst plays I've ever seen. I mean, you can't coach that. Like Penn State had a shot.
That's a
Were
true
they,
Pittsburgh Steeler quarterback, by the way.
James Franklin's a very good recruiter. He's going to bring recruits to Virginia Tech. His transfer portal he used and utilized well at Penn State. Um, I think James Franklin's a good coach, man. I just thought that it got stale at Penn State, but then again, Penn State is what Penn State is. That is a very good team, but not as good as OSU, not as good as Oregon, not as good as Michigan, not as good as the upper echelon teams. Where did they get there a couple times with James Franklin? They got close. I mean, they got close. They just never won the big games. And he's
Yes.
going to a conference now where you're really not going to have very many big games. Well, I shouldn't say that. You'll have big games, but you won't have elite teams.
You
Like
won't have
elite, you
Ohio
won't have
State or
elite. You
Michigan.
won't have OSU. You won't have Oregon. You won't have USC coming in. The ACC has like one team, and that is Miami. And I think James Franklin's going to flourish at Virginia Tech. To be completely honest with you, I think
Yes.
this is the perfect spot. And damn it, like Enter Sandman is back. Like we
It
need this.
is very
We need
back.
Lane Stadium juiced up. I need
Yes.
primetime Virginia Tech, and I need to see Lane Stadium juiced up to Metallica and Enter Sandman, because that is one of the coolest entrances in all of sports. And the
Yes.
problem is they've been not good for years with Brent Pry, and now they're going to be good again with James Franklin. I think he will win the ACC at one point with Virginia Tech.
I fully
I
agree
really do.
with you on that statement. 100%. And it will be fun to see Virginia Tech back. They haven't really had any
Yeah.
kind of juice. I mean, yeah, they did come into Columbus and beat Ohio State the year they won the national championship, but Virginia
That's
Tech still
still
went 6 and
crazy
6
when
that year.
they did that.
Like Virginia Tech hasn't had real buzz
That
since
game pissed me off.
Beamer Ball, really in the early 2010s, even before like 2010,
That
2011. Ever
game
since
pissed
then,
me
they
off
haven't
as
really
well.
been.
Yeah.
All right. Number 4 for me. Is this where the drought ends? Is this where the California Golden Bears are finally at? Drum roll, please. No, it's SMU at number 4.
Oh my God!
Kevin
Stop!
Jennings.
Stop!
Kevin Jennings,
Stop!
Rhett Lashley,
No!
and the
No!
SMU
No!
Mustangs.
SMU
S-
is a better team than
SMU.
Cal. Stop!
S-
Stop! Stop!
Kevin.
Full stop!
Kevin.
You are not putting Cal in the top 3. You are
Kevin.
high. You are like I just
No, I'm
need.
not. You need a timeout. You need a timeout here.
Bro, this is great.
You need a
It's your
timeout.
list, man. It's your list. But that's insane. Cal's a good team. They're not elite. They're not a top 3 team in the ACC. SMU is better. SMU has made the college football playoff. They've looked good. They're a tough team there in Dallas. Go ahead. Talk about SMU. Talk about Southern Methodist University, bro.
Rhett Lashley and Kevin Jennings. I mean, those two guys have proven it a lot. The issue I have with them, compared to a team like an elite program like Cal, right? Is the fact
You can't even
you're
think
laughing.
straight because I see you said
You're
an elite
laughing.
program like Cal, and then you started laughing.
You're
You can't
laughing
even keep
first,
it in.
Spencer. You are laughing first, and that's what's making me laugh.
Bro,
Stop laughing.
this
Stop
is
laughing.
the biggest jump. We're gonna have at least a 10 spot difference between me
That's
and
I
you and
told
the
you.
Cal Golden
I
Bears.
told you. You and I are going to have the biggest deficit, biggest spread out of any team potentially in all of our projections. But anyway, SMU. Kevin Jennings is one of the best quarterbacks returning in this conference. Rhett Lashley has proven it. They lost a lot offensively. They lost a ton offensively. It's a skill position overhaul for them at the wide receiver room, running backs. However, their defense still has a lot. Their defense will be very impactful. I do think it can fall off, though, for this defense. I don't expect their defense to be as good as it was even last year, because last year was a fairly decent defense for SMU standards. I don't think it'll be as good. And I just, SMU, they've proven it since they've been in the ACC. They are towards the top. They are in that top 5 year in and year out. And SMU, they finished 4th.
Number 3 SMU. All right. So number 2 for you is Louisville. Number 3 for you is Louisville. Number 2 for you is Miami. And the best team in the ACC are the California Golden Bears. You heard it here first. You heard they're the best team in the ACC.
Oh,
They're
you're
gonna
so
go
funny, man.
13-0, and they're gonna win the Atlantic Coast Conference, playing on the Pacific Coast, and they're gonna be the number 1 seed in the college
You're
football
having a
playoff.
field day right now.
JKS is gonna just win. He's gonna win the Heisman. He's gonna with a bunch of misfits on offense and a defense that is completely revamped with a bunch of nobodies.
You say that. You say that and you're wrong.
Go SMU number 3 for the same exact reason as you, but I fully believe in Lashley and Jennings because they have proven that they've won. So
Number 3 is the California Golden Bears. Tosh Lupoi, year 1. I'm an absolute believer in Tosh Lupoi. I think JKS is going to be one of the best quarterbacks in college football. And here's the thing about this offense. They're actually probably done one of the best jobs in the transfer portal with their offense. Ian Strong from Rutgers, wide receiver. Chase Hendricks from Ohio, wide receiver. Adam Muhammad from Washington, the running back who sometimes did better than Jonah Coleman up there in Washington and was supposed to be their starting running back this season. He hit the portal and went to California. Um, I, I don't know why. I understand because it's year 1. And there's always some teams out there that kind of overperform, thinking, oh, wow, how did this team get so good? California, for me, is that team. I think California needs to be talked about much more in this conference and as a legit program this season. California, to me, they have the quarterback play. I think they have the coach. I trust Tosh Lupoi. I know it's his first time as a head coach. I trust the pieces they brought in offensively. Their defense might take some time, but it'll
no.
be good.
Oh, might take some time. Oh, I didn't know that was allowed.
Might
I
take
thought
some time.
they have to be good off the bat to be the number 3 team in the ACC.
This
Let's
offense,
just run through their schedule real quick. So they start out UCLA at home in Cal. I'll give that. That's going to be a good. That'll actually be a telling game for both teams.
yes.
Um,
That's maybe.
you know what? For the benefit of the doubt, I'll pick Cal to win that game. At Syracuse, they'll win that game. Versus Wagner, they'll win that game. Versus Clemson, Clemson's winning that game.
3-0. 3-0.
At you,
4-0. 4-0.
3-1. At
4-0.
UNLV is a very good program. 3-2. Versus Virginia Tech, Virginia Tech's going to win that game. Versus Wake Forest, I'll give them 4-3. At SMU, they are not winning at SMU. That's 4-4. At NC State, their next two games are at NC State and at Virginia. I'll say they go 1-1, so 5-5, and they finish off against Stanford. That's a win, so 6-5, and Pittsburgh, 6-6. Oh wait, we just talked about them being a 500 program for forever. Then they went 6-6.
Just a
Okay,
heads
let's
up
just.
for
All
everybody
right,
about
yeah,
Cal.
Cal's all right. Yeah, Cal's number 3 on your list because things and stuff.
No,
Um,
that is not true. That is not true. Cal, y'all, I'm sticking with this.
Quarterback's
You
very
know,
good. Okay, like legit reasons. Lapoy, I think, is going to be a solid coach. I mean, Oregon, their defense was always good. It helped that Dan Lanning was the Manning of that defense. Um, but
you're gonna be shaking
um,
in your boots when you look up and Cal is somehow like 9 and
number
1
one
at
in the
the end of the
country.
year.
Yeah, it's
They're
happening.
not going to be number 1 in the country. I'm not saying they're going to
No,
be number 1 in the country.
yeah,
I'm just saying people need to buy the Cal stock. No one is talking about them as a legitimate contender in this conference this year,
because it's a
and they
first year
deserve
coach.
to be.
It's a brand new defense with a brand new coaching staff,
And
a
everyone,
brand new an
you're
offense that has some pieces returning, but a
aren't.
lot of transfers who shown like the guy from
I just
Washington. I'll
wonder
give you
where
that.
Oklahoma State's going to be at your Big 12 list, huh? I can only imagine where they'll be
But
when we get to the
but
Big
hey,
12.
Eric Morris has proven it at as a head coach. He's proven it as a head coach at North Texas.
It's North Texas.
Lapoy was a
Defensive coordinator.
yeah, he was the defensive coordinator at Oregon, but who was calling the defense at Oregon?
Daniel.
Daniel Lanning. That's right. So
Tosh
yeah.
Lapoy is going to prove it.
All
California
right.
is going to prove it. They will be a
After all
ranked
that,
team.
after all the craziness, I can probably strongly assume we have the same one in number 2. But I will say number 2, Louisville, for me, the Louisville Cardinals, led by Jeff Brom, former Purdue head coach, and man who gave me nightmares as an Ohio State fan, who now are going to
Yes.
employ an Ohio State quarterback, former Ohio State quarterback, Lincoln Kienholz. Um, Obviously, they had one of the best running back duos in the country last
The
year with
Browns. The
Isaac
Brown
Brown
duo.
and Kaywan Brown. Their quarterback position this year. I like Kienholz. I liked Kienholz. I don't think they gave him the. I mean, he was the backup, so you're only going to get so much at Ohio State. I hope Kienholz succeeds because I did like him. I thought he was a solid runner. He did, or not a solid runner, a solid passer. And I think that he wasn't given his proper opportunity, as he could because he, lost the job to Julian Sayin.
Right.
But I think Louisville, Jeff Brom to me he's a solid, sturdy coach who brings a lot of he wins, and he wins at Louisville was more of a winner, but he won at Purdue, and I think that's that's kind of tough to be honest with you. He
Oh yeah.
also was getting looked at by Michigan this past offseason, before they went with Kyle Whittingham. Their biggest question mark, their offensive line is completely rebuilt.
Yep.
They only have one contributor returning from their 5. They do get new coordinators with Steve Ellis and Mark Ivy.
Yep.
But they got some returning playmakers in Clev Lubin and Stan Juan Clark.
Stan Juan Clark.
Stan Juan
Stan
Clark,
Quan.
Antonio
I
Watts,
think. Yeah,
and
Stan Juan.
Tayon Holloway. They got a ton of transfers as well.
Yes.
If Louisville obviously, they're going to be very good this year. I fully believe in Jeff Brom. But they play the season opener against Ole Miss
In Nashville.
and that is going to be a fun game to watch.
Yes.
So we'll see how it goes, but I think Louisville is going to be very good.
Louisville, whatever you want to call it.
Louisville.
Louisville. They are number 2 for me as well. And you mentioned the Browns.
Shocking.
The Brown duo. Isaac Brown and Keywan Brown. Isaac Brown to me is the best running back in college football heading into this year. He is my number 1 overall running back. This dude is electric. And the fact that they have both of them, I'm going to say this, I know the team ahead of them has maybe the best trio in college football at the running back position. I would say that the duo at Louisville is just as good, if not better, with Isaac Brown, and Kewan Brown. And you had Lincoln Keenholz, who actually you did mention before you corrected yourself. He was still a pretty decent runner himself. He has that ability to run the ball.
Yeah.
And so I think that that opens up this pass game for Louisville. I got to sneeze here. Didn't happen. We saved it. But the Cardinals, it just feels like the way it's been going here for Jeff Brom, he's really hit the transfer portal like crazy. And it's been successful every time, specifically for the quarterback position. And it just feels like the progression year in and year out, it feels like there's that time for them to finally just break through and be towards the top of the conference and be the legit top of the conference or playing for a conference championship. I think this year that will happen for Louisville.
And number one, I wasn't really surprised, isn't shocking, and one of the um, best teams in America coming into this year, the Miami Hurricanes.
Wait, can we say that? Oh, wait,
And
they finally
Mario
proved it.
Cristobal. You said what?
I said, can we actually say that now? Or they finally proved it on the football field?
They proved it. I think they proved it. That college football playoff run that they had proved it. And you could argue they should have won the game. Like they had opportunities to win that game,
That game
obviously.
is playing on my television right now while we're
But you
recording
have
this.
Carson Beck, and Carson Beck is who he always is. They got in Darian Mensah, who's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in the nation. The whole controversy of him leaving for Miami. He signed a contract with Duke, he found a way to get out of it, and now he's in Miami. But it's Mark Fletcher Jr., it's Chamar Brown, it's Gerard Pringle Jr., it's Malachi Tony. The offensive weapons that this team has is ridiculous. That defense is going to be very good. The biggest question mark will be, the edge rushers. They lost Messador and they lost Ruben Bain, who were the primary reasons why they made that massive run to the college football title game, and the main reason why they beat Ohio State in the quarterfinals. But Mario, they're recruiting very well. They're doing a lot of things right. They brought in a couple of guys with a couple of transfers. They added Omar Thornton from Boston College. I truly believe Miami is on a tier of their own in the ACC. I don't think it's very close, and I do think Louisville's very good, but Miami's on a tier of their own, and I don't think it's particularly close. They have so much talent on this team. Um, this is probably the best Miami team in years. This is better than last year's team. I think it's going to be much better. I think Darian Mensah is much better than Carson Beck. You're getting Mark Fletcher Jr., another year of him, another year of Chamar Brown, and another year of Gerard Pringle Jr. Malachi Tony, obviously, who was phenomenal his last year. And you're bringing in a lot of starters as well from the transfer portal. So, yeah, Miami is going to be very, very good this year, and they will make the playoff and probably will be a top 4 seed.
Number one in my heart might be Cal, but number one in reality is the Hurricanes of Miami. And you mentioned all the talent they brought in. You're forgetting the number one weapon for Mensa is coming with him from Duke and Cooper Barkate at wide receiver. The duo of him and Malachi Tony will be fun to watch. I think this Miami team, you pretty much nailed it on the head. I think they're going to be a playoff team. When we get to our playoff prediction time, I feel like I probably will also have them as a top 4 seed in my preseason projection and preseason prediction. Yes, losing the edge rushers, our beloved Ruben Bain Jr. and Akeem Mesidor, but you bring in Damon Wilson II from Missouri by way of Georgia. You still have Marquise Lightfoot, who's expected to step up in that role, and you still have one of the better interior disruptors in college football in Ahmad Moten, still back from last year. He could have been a first-round pick potentially if he actually went to the draft for 2026, but he is back in Coral Gables. This team is stacked in the secondary. They bring back Xavier Lucas at corner. He's a top 10 corner probably in college football this season. And I'm going to put this on record. If I was a betting man, I'm not a betting man. I don't condone gambling because it can be addictive. But if I were a gambler myself, I would place money on Darian Mensah winning the Heisman Trophy. I would do that because
He's one of the favorites. So
I
and
think Darian Mensah, for me, if I had to pick who I would expect to win the Heisman Trophy this year, it would be Darian Mensah from Miami. I love that kid a lot. He is
very good.
very talented. He, I want to. He's like Justin Fields from Ohio State. Think about Justin Fields from Ohio State. He reminds me a lot of him, but I expect him to be so much better. He's a better passer, a much better passer of the ball than Justin Fields ever was. It's so clean, it's so pure, and he just has this smoothness to his game that I just really love. And I think Miami is in for probably making the semifinal this year. Semifinal, a quarterfinal, semifinal. They might even win a title in 2027. We will see. We will see. But Miami's in a class of their own in this conference. It's for them to prove us wrong. It's for them to prove us wrong.
Let's see, their schedule. That game at Notre Dame is going to be unbelievable.
That is what is that middle October?
It's November 7th.
November 7th. Ooh.
They play at Stanford to start out the year. They're going to win that game. Win against Florida A&M.
Hey man,
At
Davis.
Wake
Dave,
Forest.
don't ever count out Davis Ward.
Dominate Central Michigan. They play at Clemson. That could be something, but they'll beat Clemson. They play Florida State, annihilate. They'll play Pittsburgh, annihilate. At North Carolina, they will put Bill Belichick, Bobby Petrino in the grave. They will have a ceremony of putting these men in the grave.
Oh, that's so bad.
So they'll probably be undefeated heading into that Notre Dame game.
And it's crazy to think that the best team they could play in Cal isn't on their schedule. Too. That's a weak schedule.
It's a 7:30 night game in South Bend.
They don't even have the toughest opponent in Cal Berkeley on their schedule this year. That's so unfortunate.
They play Duke. That's funny.
Oh,
they don't play at Duke, but they play Duke.
If that was in Durham, that'd be must see. That would be a
would it really?
That would be boots on the ground B&B Bowl.
Would it really? Duke, I think there'd be more Miami fans than Duke fans. Duke doesn't care about football.
Well, yeah, but like I just want to see the splattering happen in person, right? Boots on the ground in Durham.
That's going to be a tough game.
I can't wait to see Cal and Miami in the national title and just see how. No, I'm just kidding. I'm very kidding.
Might as well.
Very kidding. But man,
toughest game on your
the disrespect, Spencer, about the Cal Berkeley Golden Bears. 13th.
Yeah,
that is
it's
insane.
A first-year head coach who was not in charge of the defense.
So here's what we're gonna do, Spencer. What we're gonna do is be realistic here. Not really realistic, because they are finishing third in the ACC. But knowing how our predictions tend to go, they're just going to split the difference and they'll be like 8th.
Sure. I mean, like the teams, they're all going to be 6-6. There's going to be like 10 6-6 teams.
So when Cal is 6-6 and still top 3 in this conference, don't say I didn't tell you.
You know what? They're going to win the ACC at 6 and 7.
They'll play Miami.
They're going to have
Miami in the ACC title. They're not going to beat Miami, but they're going to play them anyway.
No, they're not going to beat Miami, huh? Are you sure?
I didn't put them at 1, did I? I didn't do that. No.
You know, it's really sad that nobody's going to watch the Miami Hurricanes because nobody watches. Nobody goes to that stadium.
Why do you think they lost to Indiana in their home stadium? It was more Indiana fans.
Because no one goes. No one sees them. No one cares about football in Miami unless it's the Dolphins when they're good.
They did care. They just
happened to take them off campus. When the Hurricanes played in the Orange Bowl, that was true football, but they don't play it anymore. So
it's unfortunate. Bring college football games back on campuses, please. UCLA. I love the Rose Bowl and it's historical. You play 40 minutes away from UCLA's campus in Pasadena. Find a way to play. And if you go to SoFi Stadium, that's even worse. I know it's closer, but that's even worse. Just might as well stick to the Rose Bowl. USC, if you even look at USC Stadium, I mean, I know Memorial Coliseum is technically right by campus for them, but I mean, that stadium was never built for football. It was built to host other events, and it just so happened to just be their football stadium. College football games need to be on campuses. That's all I got to say, folks. And the California Berkeley Golden Bears are going to outperform a lot of y'all's expectations. That's all I got to say, man. That's all I got to say. And before we leave, if you disagree or agree with us, what you should do is subscribe to the YouTube channel. You should follow us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you may be listening as well. And if you're on YouTube here, hit the push notification bell to stay up to date on all of our new videos. Go watch our short form content. Make sure you follow us on our social media channels at Ball N Beatz Media on Instagram, TikTok, and X. And hopefully, no more explosives over here. And we can get back to our regularly scheduled programming moving forward. More conference previews and breakdowns next week. Maybe have a little fun. Maybe, I don't know. We gotta have a little fun, like a trivia thing or something else, I think, next week. Something NFL. I feel like it's been a little dead NFL talk, you know what I mean? We need some NFL talk back into the swing of things. Maybe I'll have Spencer cook up something for us next week.
Sure.
How's that feel? I like that idea. And with that, we will see you guys next week. Take care. And peace.